like the third episode or fourth episode of Mimo and Good News Jim doing talk about God stuff. How you doing, Mimo?
I'm doing great. I just had a great shift at work, working through some somatics and stretching mobility work with some clients, and it's just great to talk to someone who's coming at it from a more analytical, brainy side of things, and just kind of meeting together and ending the day
Yeah.
with Jesus, because that's why we do what we do, whether it's coding or moving bodies through space.
Well, what I like about it is that I am logical. I used to be very creative, and I need to go back through my old books, and remember when I was creative. People who have video games, books, or anything, don't sell them to GameStop or anything because you when you play them again 10 years from now, you'll play it better because you'll know better knowledge, but your reflexes have to recalibrate the rust, and you'll remember what you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You remember the kid. So if you have your old design, your old diaries from when you're a kid, it makes you creative. So Mimo is good at science because she knows it from like a visionary type of imaginary kind of what we should be doing because she ties in with
And
Christianity.
experimenting. I like to say that I'm constantly researching because that's really what it is. I had body issues as a young kid, and that prompted me to ask questions, and it comes from the viewpoint and the worldview that my God designed my body in a way that is supposed to function a certain way, and my body was not functioning that way. And so I was on, and I'm still on the path of, okay, God, I'm going into this space to experiment, to research, to understand how you designed our bodies to work. But also, what if our bodies don't work that right way? How do we get to a place that we can trick our brains and trick ourselves into doing what's best for us? And that to me is research and movement research as a movement research scientist.
Yeah, so Mimo is like one tier below a physical therapist, and me since she knows me and we talk about endocrinology and prayer, she's tying in the very fact, and I like you'll love this is of what does a man matter? Like the globalists will say, well, man is useless because we have enough resources with our factories, and we saw that in the early '80s. Like Strange Brew would talk about why we need two people to run a factory and make millions of bottles. They Live talked about how there's actually elites just want people gone, and that's kind of like what I won't get into that. But the other one was well, there's lots of movies, the dehumanization, and me was like, let's bring the humanization back, kind of like they always call the right winger that wants to be a bodybuilder. Well, when you care about your health, it makes you feel better about yourself. You have better thoughts, and you're able to help other people better.
And really, if you're coming at it from a Christian worldview, I think the value of that, because I come from a more conservative Christian background, and a lot of them go, well, you're self-glorifying in this effort.
I've
It's
heard
like
that. I've heard that.
you almost sacrifice to the point that you don't take care of the temple that God's given you. And I'm here to say, I think you can be highly theologically conservative and still find value in feeling good in your body in a God glorifying way.
I
Because
agree.
that's when God's going to speak to us, when we are able to fully let go in terms of flexibility, mobility, and relaxation. And we see these spaces where they're solely based around like an Eastern ideology. But what if as Christians we decided to make a space where it's safe for a Christian to pray to God and come at it like, Jesus, what do you want me to do with my body today? Help me to be the tool and vessel, even if my job is coding and video games. But you have to create that quiet space in your day and be intentional about it.
I agree. Otherwise,
And,
distractions get us.
and that's how people in very heady, like engineering, computer engineering, and even like, I would want to say like scientists that are in the lab, like studying human anatomy, you get so caught up in the human-made structures around them that we don't leave space for. What if I go home and I pray about that chemical formulation?
Can I pause you because you're a genius on this, Mimo? My first computer program I ever wrote by myself. Like I started programming when I was age 4. You know, and this comes down to you, like, you have to have the spiritual as well as the science, is what Mimo says. And that's actually phenomenal, because every time I pray, that's when I get breakthroughs. Like, when I invented AI, before I even knew God was real, I was like, I really want to know AI. I really want to know AI. I need to know it. And then, like, all of a sudden, boom, you know, it's all about vision, and then the physics models, the LOMs, you know, like in 2002, right? So what I invented was really just almost like a revelation. And you can see it on archive.org. I'll link it in the YouTube video, but or whatever I'm posting this at. But Mimo, you're genius. Let me finish real fast, because I want to say the first program I wrote was on a 6. Right? I wrote lots of programs when I was 4 and under by copying the magazine code over. But one time I was like, hey, I'm gonna just hit the keyboard randomly, and like maybe type in some like computer codes or somewhat resembling. Like I was like being like Million Monkeys make Shakespeare, right? But I was saying, God, make a program for me. God, make a program for me. God, make my first program, right? And when I hit run, the screen was all beautiful colors, like big blocks just changing. It looked like a vortex or something. Like, yeah, that's like a teleport. That's like, I felt like it was like the thing. Like God's like saying, hey, you know, we're going someplace, you know. But in computer science, when you hammer on the keyboard and don't enter actual real stuff, that's called garbage in, garbage out. But I call it God in, God out.
Oh, wow. And I mean, what you just said is applicable, and I heard that phrase used for, like, just general media and general intake of your day as a Christian, that you have to be mindful of garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Or if you're taking Philippians 4:8 and applying it to your Christian worldview in things like your job and your habits and what you think about, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is pure, whatever is right, whatever is godly. If anything is these things, think about them.
Right.
That was a paraphrase.
So, can I pause you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tie that back into your point with coding.
No, it's going different. So a lot of Christians want to tell the world about Jesus, right? We do that. We're the Great Commission, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they get online, they start talking on Facebook, and then like what happens? People are distracting them, giving them bull crap lies and stuff, and they spend their time racking their brains around stuff they can't know, don't know, because they don't know everything. We're not like a polymath or something. Like I'm really smart. I know a lot about different disciplines. A lot of people say I'm the smartest guy lived in like centuries, right? But I still don't know everything, you know. So while I can debate an atheist and shoot him down and everything, they can spend hours getting addicted to just arguing. Like believe it or not. People can be trained to argue, right? You can train someone to argue, and it's not cool at all.
Yeah, debate is a debate class for a reason. It's a logical debate, and you can use logic to misconstrue the truth.
Well, yeah. Well, what we say now is cool heads prevail. We used to say all the time. And what happens is, as soon as someone starts flipping out, we're like, well, you lost because cool heads prevail. You gotta know your argument. Like versus atheists that are really hard headed. They think they're smart. Like I get banned on social media because God says whip a fool. A fool looking for an argument is waiting for a beating. And I say stuff that like is right, and a lot of atheists thank me because like, Jim, I thought I was smart, but you made me look like a moron because this atheism stuff isn't true. Like it happens like maybe 2 in like 10 times like that'll happen, and then maybe like 3, 4, 5. The other person's like, this hurts. Why are you being so mean to me? Like you opened with mean against God, man. Now you know what it feels like when you're attacking God, man. And he's like, oh, and then it makes people think. If you go to an atheist and you're all like happy and like you're trading like, oh, that good one and that's a good one, they're not going to figure it out. If they're going to come at you and say you're dumb, you have to explain that no, you're dumb. And what happens? It makes people upset. I mean, like I said, I help people with that. But like where I was going to get to, like, let me pause for a second and change this. Like people get on social media, and then social media is designed to distract you. And then and you're like, oh look, a guy doing like a kickflip, and there's a cat falling out of the tree and landing on a trampoline, and then all of a sudden it's like 3 hours later. You can't do that garbage in, garbage out stuff you were saying.
Because and that's where we get into a gray area. Well, what I'm consuming doesn't conflict morally, but wouldn't God rather us use our temples and the minds he gave us with the logic he gave us to do something better in this world? And, I take it from Smokey the Bear. leave it better than you found it.
Yeah,
like,
that's the Scouts too.
Boy Scouts, wherever it came from. That phrase means so much as a Christian because I think that's how God wants us. He doesn't want us to squander our life that he gave us. He didn't need to breathe life into us, but he chose to.
Remember Genesis 1, he made man and woman to be the caretakers of, watch out for nature. You're supposed to help the squirrels and the rabbits and the crows and the plants. You're supposed to care for the world.
I love this old word. We are called to be stewards of our life, of our earth, of the things around us. And it's beautiful when you come at the perspective of I'm going to work because I'm called to be a steward of whatever this is.
I don't like it when they
so much easier.
I don't like it when they say Republicans, conservatives aren't environmental. They're the bad guys from Captain Planet. It's like, we all live on this planet. We all want it nice. I mean, there's not many people like, yeah, I want to spray a bunch of toxins down the river. That sounds fun. Like, who would do that, right? Like, people imagine the other side of being these worst case scenario devils, and it breaks up families because you're like, oh, you're one of those white supremacist guys who want to like run their truck and shoot up the road. It's like, dude, I want a better place just like you. Now, you think I'm lying? And I think you're believing in lies. We're family for 40 years, and we both know we wanted a better place. Neither one of us is Hitler, dude. Like, just don't disown your family. Just agree that one of us is being lied to. You don't have to get to the bottom of it. But then the fact is, it breaks up a lot of families because it's by design. There are left Nazis that promote believe their family over your people, and people have to realize, hey, if you're getting lied to, I'm being lied to. Who cares? One of us is being lied to. Okay? Neither one of us turned into a monster overnight, and that's very important.
Yes. And I think that's where the call to Christians to be peacemakers is no matter what field of research or work you're in, we have to be the peacemaker between those political viewpoints and say, hey, I think we're talking about the same, we both want the same solution, but we have a different way of getting there.
Everyone wants to rule the very fair place, but sometimes the Captain Planet people might think they're right, but then they'll tell local people they have to do sewage, and that costs money, and they make a bunch of factories, and then what are they doing? They're making it poor, so they use more styrofoam, or the environmentally safe gas tanks, where everybody's seen they spill gas on the floor. When the old ones that were basic didn't spill gas on the dirt. So sometimes environmentalists think they're doing good, because make it better, so make a bunch of rules, but they don't realize the rules can make the place a worse place because they don't think. They just think emotion, you know?
Yes. And I think how this ties back to where we started is just, like, in our practices and our disciplines, we need to be excellent at what we're doing, whether it's coding or I'm a flexologist with stretch lab, and I'm not a technical physical therapist, but we're working with human bodies in a similar way, and we're impacting the people around us with the things we do.
Like you said, you're tying in the mind, body, and spirit. The prayer that God will guide you in your day, using your brain, what you know, to bring about good action, and your body, by being healthy, nourishes your brain better. It all ties together. People want to sit around and do nothing. They're gonna not have good brain power. They're not gonna have good muscles, and they probably might not have a good spirit. I like that you're thinking about the tie between all three of those together. If you have a strong body, strong mind, you might have a strong spirit, because we talk logically in a way that Christianity is the only valid religion, you know, and because it's the way of love and helping those around you.
And I think what's key too is you can't forget to feed your spirit. We have to read God's word. It's the living word of God. God breathed. It's his breath. It is his tangible way of communicating to us. Yes, we could get into the semantics on this version of the Bible and translate it this way. Guess what? I believe God is going to speak through that word no matter what translation you read.
Right.
If you got to read they make this one Bible where it's like a comic strip. Well, if you're reading comic comprehension skills are there, I believe God is going to speak to you through that.
Well, it's like the children's Bibles, right? They have pictures of Abraham and Sarah. And those are good. You have to get a vision of what's going on, right? So like, just because it's not translated exactly, 99.9% of it is going to be all the same. And there might be one word where, like, well, if I don't understand it, maybe I look at other translations if I'm like really, or talk to, and like I sometimes I hook up with people who really know the core, like Greek and Hebrew, right? And like I can ask people, but like I like to look through the different translations to help me understand the one I like reading, which is the good news, because it's easy to read, and though it's easy to read, you might think, well, it's not poetic and beautiful. Well, the easy to readness lets me understand it at a deeper level. Like, you know, get the basics, I can just build off of it, like the foundation of Jesus, you know?
I'm not sure which passage it is, but there is the one scripture about, it's in the New Testament, one of the letters to, I think it's to Philippi in the Philippians, but Paul says, oh, you're eating milk and bread, but you need something with more substance at some point, and you haven't gotten past that point. And that's really eye-opening to think, oh, in the early church, even in the early church that got to see Jesus alive walking this earth, there were people whose faiths were so small, all they could comprehend and consume were those foundational things of the Bible.
People like that.
What God really wants for us to do is to grow up and mature as a Christian.
Yes.
To eat the hearty stuff of the Bible, and that's where reading different passages comes into play.
I like that because you're
part of it is that quiet time. Like you can't force that. We're called to give everything to Jesus, but it takes time to do that.
To me, this
Just
is
like growing muscles and flexibility. It takes time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, that's exactly. I love it. Like, 'cause you're building like a bodybuilder builds his muscle. Like a genius reads books and establishes logical premises and builds upon truth. A spiritual person, you can't see their spiritual body, but you can't see them like like a mental talent. Like king or something, you know. Like I have a brain that like is smarter than in chess masters because I play games more intellectually than man chess. You just see my face, right? Like does that guy look like a really smart guy? You can't really tell if someone's really smart. You can tell if someone's really strong, but then there's some people that have like a lot of big arms that they can't lift like a guy with tight muscles. So it's like what you don't see is like the most important stuff, like love and charity and helping people. Like someone might be really poor. There might be a guy.
You know what we call those in the church? Those are fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah. There might be a guy who's like broke as a joke, right? And like you think, well, he's a bum on the street. He's a homeless man. But lo and behold, he helps everybody so much. He knows he doesn't need. He can rely on God to like the scripture says, like look at the birds of the field. I provide for them. They don't have to bank in barns and stuff. They just give and give and give, and they know in faith that God will provide for the next day, right? So.
And that ties back into being a good steward. If you're stuck in a period of life where you're like, but God's not giving me what I need, maybe He is, and you have to reevaluate how you're stewarding what He's given you.
Yeah. Well, like to me, I see that a lot. Like I tell God, I'm pretty satisfied with what I have right now, and like, and as long as I don't get evicted, which they say I'm going to get evicted, I'll be fine. But like if I'm going to get a girlfriend, like and a wife, like most people are supposed to get, I'm 48. I have student loans. I don't have enough to provide and raise a kid. And I'm not going to tangent this too much about globalist politics, but we're finding out that the reason the globalists give to liberals and this USA stuff is because they know they don't have as many kids. And if they give the conservatives, they'll have families. And China views the world as a big war of population. We have a bunch of population, and we want to depopulate them. It's part of the reason COVID and all that stuff. But like I said, I don't want to get too much into it, but like it's like there's a design where they don't want you to have it. It's almost like Egypt. We'll throw the kid into the river. But to me, your heart, there's a lot of people who can't get jobs right now. And my heart goes out to you, too. That's why I fight my battles that are political and stuff. Because I care more about my fellow Christians and my fellow man. That everybody should have a chance. They're calling it like, well, DEI, we don't discriminate or whatever. Like, but it's an exclusive thing, right? When hockey came for everybody, it was a gay movement. And like, who cares? Like, I don't care what you do in your bedroom if you're not Christian. You're doing all sorts of sins. Like, I'm not gonna put a gateway before I can't become. You can't read the Bible until you stop that, right? Why would anybody stop that, right? I said everybody should just read the Bible and learn about stuff. But what happened was I got banned on all the social media because they said you're Christian, and it's like basically I was no longer welcome there. You know, anytime DEI comes, they push people out that they're Christian and Jewish, and we're finding out it's really just a depopulation agenda. And like I said, I like me, I don't want to like beat myself up about it, right? Like, 'cause like I'm 48 and stuff. But I found we're finding out the truth, right? And then what happens? I'm satisfied. So if I'm satisfied with what I have, and I know God has the future, it doesn't matter if I don't have enough right now. Like I said, I got that Apple thing. They might give me like billions of dollars in one day. I don't care. I don't even care about money. I'll help people with it. But like, you know, I have to learn not, like you said, don't let your mind mess with you. Like this is for people, Christian, not Christian. If you're having a good time, you're out with your friends partying or something, and you're playing Pictionary, it's like, this is stupid. We're playing a board game and having fun. Oh, what if I go out to the club and I meet the person of my dreams, right? Then I think they call it fear of missing out. You tell your brain, stop that thought. I'm here for a reason, and I'm going to tell you, you're there for a reason. God has you for there for a reason. So if you know you're there for a reason, you're having fun, then all of a sudden you tell your brain, hey, I'm having fun. I'm here for a reason. And all of a sudden your brain will like back away and let you have fun, right? So people need to have that present in mind. What Lao Tzu, I'm closing out, Mimo, I'm been monologue on it. Lao Tzu said, if you look in the past and you have regrets, you'll be depressed. If you look to the future and you worry, you'll be anxious. But the only way to appreciate beauty in the life that's around you is look into the present and look at what that's around you. And Lao Tzu was very heavily influenced by the Old and New Testaments.
It's true. Well, Jim, I don't want to cut us off and end the convo, but I do need to get going here. But let's wrap it up with what action can we establish for ourselves this week from this conversation? For me, I'm going to establish a very intentional routine for quiet with God. Not just movement, not just my body, but like a space that I'm leaving for God to speak to me.
Samuel,
what about you?
Said God, like God called to Samuel. Samuel said, went to Eli. Hey, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And Eli's like, oh, maybe it's God's calling you, right? So when Samuel heard from God, Eli told Samuel, if you hear from God, say, speak, Lord, your servant's listening. So I don't wait for God to talk to me. Sometimes I go, speak, Lord, your servant's listening. And I try and just vibe and say, guide me in my actions and the things I do. Because you don't really hear a voice. It's like your heart is moved. I
know, but that's what I mean, is I'm establishing that is my action this week, is I'm gonna be more intentional to leave and make that space for God to speak to me.
Yes, that's why I said Samuel, and it's good to do that. They say, Lord, speak, and guide me in my actions. When you wake up, Lord, speak, guide me in my actions, and you'll stay away from those distractions. How many times have people got on their social media and go, man, I just wasted 4 hours. I could have cleaned up my room, or I could have fixed the
That's
dishwasher.
Me. I've been averaging 4 hours on YouTube a day.
Or producing for YouTube right now, Mimo. I would really, 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 really love it if this is spiritual for me. You have a beautiful voice. You have a beautiful soul. You have a beautiful mind. It would be beautiful for me and help my spiritual walk if once in a while, once or twice a week, or once every other couple of weeks, that you talk, let's do at least 2 weeks. No hard scheduling, but I'd like to do this. This helps my spirit.
Monday nights would be great for me because I'm off Tuesdays and I'm in a good headspace and rested on Monday nights.
Well, whatever. Like I said, you call me. We have to. I'll text you from time. I'll just be a text friend. You know how I text you from time to time and say.
Yeah.
And
let's do it.
Because this helps me vastly. I've read the Bible 7 times, cover to cover, and probably over 30, in church but this is different. This is we're getting to the very core of Christianity, related to modern concepts and how people think about it. I have the logic by which I can tell everybody in the world, no, God has to exist. Atheism is selfish. You're a natural man. You have no reason to serve your fellow man. You're going to be selfish. And what happens when you're selfish, they see it. They go, why didn't you help me? Well, I was, and then you lie to them, and they find out you're lying, and they get mad at you because you're covered up, and then that mad, that hate, that leads to society's destruction. Okay, so
And I
atheism.
need this too because it's really hard to be out in a dark world and like, I have on the outside it looks all fun and dandy, but I see at least 60 clients a week, and I want to show up and be a light for Jesus. And if I don't have my spiritual like brotherhood and sisterhood in place, it is a spiritual war. And I think this is powerful. I think this needs to be an established routine for us.
Yeah, thank you so very much. So anyway, this is Good News Jim and Mimo Do Chill Talk About God. This is the third one. You can find Good News Jim and Mimo Do Chill Talk About God 1 and 2 on Rumble. I like right now. I don't have closure right now. I just can't wait to talk to you again in the future. But right now, my spirit is very satiated. I feel at peace and happy. Unlike what you would do if you got at the end of an argument all day long on social media, and then you'd be like, "What's he gonna say? What's he gonna say for the next 3 hours?" You know.
I feel that too. I feel encouraged. I feel like it's hard to explain the amount of encouragement I have spiritually after this conversation, and the eagerness to share it with others.
We're not censored finally. Like every time when I'm not censored, like people love to hear me talk. I was number one on social media in Reddit when I was telling people the spiritual milk. Everybody's love. God loves you. It's all basic. It's all core. When people really think about it logically, well, Jesus said, "I didn't come to talk about heaven. I come to talk because you wouldn't believe me, and you don't believe the things I talk about earth." Like we're talking about earth and how it ties to like spirituality, and it's all logical. You could really see how Christianity is the only religion possible. 1940s polytheism invalidated. 1940s academia invalidated polytheism. Join or die cults just not a thing. You have to be out there and help people. Love takes two, hate only takes one. Christianity is so hard to spread, but it's so easy to hate.
And that's the point.
Thank you.
Well, Jim, this has been a good chat. Let's do it a lot sooner than the last one.
Peace, Mimo. God bless you.
Peace and love be with you. Bye-bye.
See ya. So that was Mimo. I love her. She has a pastor's. She's a pastor's daughter. I met her at a gym, and when she wasn't really reckless living. She said she had reckless living, but I talk about Jesus, and she's like, "Oh, you are, yeah," and then like. Well, that was funny in my eyes. I was like, I'm sorry. I looked at my eyes. It looked like a funny eyes. Excuse me. At the gym, she came back to Jesus. Yeah, I know. I'm running, but I should be running from the Lord, And she come back to Jesus. And in fact, I love everybody where I go. And what happens when you love everybody? They go, I should be following Jesus. I should be following Jesus. You light your town on fire. That little place right there for love, and that love spreads. A love fire can spread really far. Hate fire spread too. You gotta quench the hate in your heart and spread the love, because the fire you burn with is the fire that puts the people on fire, and eventually the community on fire and it burns you back. Hate will burn with pain. That's the fires of hell. Love burns with pleasure. I don't know, in many ways. And I'm not just talking like chickadee dude god type of things when you get married and stuff. There's all sorts of pleasure. Like when you acknowledge someone, like you're walking down the gym, like, yo, and like, dude, right there, you just say, I acknowledge you. You don't waste the whole time of having war and peace conversation. You just like, dude, and then you do it to another, and all of a sudden everybody's liking you, and you're like, dude, I'm the coolest guy. Everybody likes me, and they're thinking the same thing. Everybody likes me, because that's the way the world's supposed to be. Everybody's supposed to like each other. It's supposed to be kind of radical, tubular, and like, what's the one that we don't use anymore? I think tubular is the one we don't use anymore. Radical. Anyway, it's supposed to be like that. It's not dumb. It's not dumb to acknowledge people and be happy. And then say there's chickadees there, and you don't want to marry them. You don't want to avert your eyes. Be like, hey, yeah, how you doing? And just smiling, and everybody's happy, right? When everybody's happy, smiling, talking, and you're friends with people, they're very open. They hear why you're nice to them. Why you always DoorDash me? Why do you go get stuff for? Why do you buy me birthday gifts? Why do you care about me so much? Well, like I'll help people move. I'll do their lawn if they want, right? And then eventually they're like, why are you doing all this? Because Jesus. And like, oh, makes sense. You die to self, you live for others. And the cheat code isn't that, God says it's better to give than receive, right? Better to give than receive. And that means when you give, God's going to bless you later. Well, the feeling of giving is great. You're feeling God's heart right there when you give. That's what God feels. Hey, that guy really needed that taco. He was pretty much starving. He needed that water. He was down and out on on the street or something. And you give it to people today is like it's weird with all the it's like war invasion and stuff. But like long story short, when you're helping people, you help neighbors and stuff. Um, but what happens? God will bless you later. It's more blessed to give than receive, because there's two people that live this world. We're talking about atheism, we're talking about Christianity. The atheist thinks like, if I acquire more and more power, if I have more and more money, well then my position in life is better. I'm a better person with more money. I don't know. Some people they think that. I'm better because I'm more beautiful. Someone will say, no, I don't like. I'm a little bit beautiful, but I don't. My joy is not in my beauty. It's not in the video game playing I do. This preaching, I'm happy. I'm serving God. Maybe it stokes me to serve God. You're allowed to be stoked to serve God, but I'm not like, oh, I feel so holy. Like I'm a jerk. I have my bad days. I'm not perfect. Like no one could have probably made a couple years into Jesus' life, let alone his preaching or the cross and everything. Everybody makes mistakes to hurt other people. That's what it is to sin. You hurt other people. But Jesus fed them. He cured them. Gave them their dignity back. Built houses for some people, right? And then ultimately died on the cross while everybody's making fun of him. How many people out there get made fun of and not appreciated? You do all this work and people are hurting and hating you. I never got paid for work, really, basically. I criminally violated 100% of the time, man. I make designs. Like I said, designed the iPhone, through my own car, AI. Right now, NVIDIA is still my local positioning tech. I'm making self-replicating robots. Solved interstellar travel, with so basically, I'll give you the long story short. It sounds crazy. The robots are two electric motors, and they scrape metal into a smelter. Smelter goes to extruder, make a wire, wrap motors, boom. And the camera knows where it's at because it's using the local positioning system that NVIDIA stole. Not many people know about the local positioning system, how a camera can control a drone and know exactly where it's at. So you're not replicating the silicon, the CPU, the memory, or anything. Just two electric motors, or three maybe for a tool. And then what happens, those robots replicate billions of themselves on our planetoid, Mars, Phobos, Deimos, or whatever. And then you're building solar towers, which are just metal that aims the sun at a metal tub, and it sprays out a nozzle, steam, because it gets really hot because the you focus like a magnifying glass on it, and the steam blows for turbine. Turbine spins, and when you have a spin, you have electricity. So you cover all of Mars and basically go solar towers, and then you can use the AI to move the radiation around the water. And then you can make housing with the AI robots, or you sort out all the elements. I mean, like manufacturing, you send plants over, you have hydroponic, stuff, and no, you made it a paradise planet. Congratulations. So you have a paradise planet, Mars, Phobos, Deimos, Venus, Mercury. You perfected how the seed planets turn into paradise planets. You know what we do? We have a lot of energy we just gathered over 20 years. All the solar power on those things, plus the radiation stuff. We gathered a lot of energy, right? So we can make shots to interstellar travel to Alpha Centauri, right? And when it gets there, seeds auto-populate, auto-techiform these places. A lot of people want to terraform it. They don't know how to terraform. I do. I just solved the Jamestown paradox because we had it, so we knew we did all we could. We can get interstellar travel to Alpha Centauri, but when we get there, you have no resources and you don't know how to you die black like they did in Jamestown. A lot of colonists, early people would fly a ship to another land and they died, either the natives or cold winters and stuff, because it wasn't a paradise before that guy. Now we have this thing where fire the robots bloom out the whole planet, and then inside they'll make it so the seeds will grow. And obviously, I don't know. I like to talk about techiforming. I have a website called techiform.com. No one knows this except me. Except in the people who learned from me. One of the fun things is Mars, as we move the cameras from place to place and make the robots expand exponentially, people at Earth can see 8 minutes away what it looks like. If there's crystal caverns or life, oh look, that's some wild stuff. Don't touch it, right? So we're gonna turn the whole thing into housing and farming and industrial, but we want to stay away from natural beauty. Like on Earth, we have crystal caverns. There's some in South America. They're the giant 5-foot diameter crystals. They look like Superman's Fortress of Solitude underground. Like, that's amazing, right? Why would we want to destroy that on these planets, right? So on Mars, we can make sure we can bloom the whole thing because we have people looking. But on Alpha Centauri, it takes 4.7 years to get back. We might have to have rovers look at it and people, check it before you can really go and just grind up all the materials into like housing and hydroponic plants and gardens and industry, right? You don't want to grind up a planet that's beautiful. It's beautiful. We might, when we're caretakers of not just Earth, we're caretakers of the universe. What if there's a whole planet that's nothing but crystalline structures, like rainbows of crystals, and they go over and have arches, and there's like slides you can go down and stuff? We don't want to really just colonize that planet. We might want to just leave that as a beautiful monument that God made for us. Why would we crush all the crystals down into pieces, and then we could have some housing there? Like, look at Hawaii, man. If the Hawaiians would have let the capitalists, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with capitalism. Like, communism has worse problems. Capitalism. You work a job, you choose you educate yourself, work a job you want to work at, pay your taxes. The government serves you, right? You work a job you choose, pay your taxes, the government serves you. Communism is has all the same problems, except the government tells you where to work. It pays you what it feels like paying you, and then you are like serving the government, right? There's how many people want to be a steel mill worker? They're a miner. How many people want to be a miner? You're a steel mill worker. I want to be a dancer. Pfft, no, that's not going to happen. Maybe you'll be an Olympian if you look like you have a good chance in early. But yeah, communism is not good. Capitalism is pretty decent because you make your money and then you're supposed to help people around you, and that's the big problem. Is a lot of people aren't helping people around as they make their money, and it's easy to make money if you don't have morals. Anyway, so like I said, it's self-techiforming. Follow techiform.com if you care about that type of stuff. But I've made many multi-trillion-dollar industries. I've made many multi-billion-dollar industries. I've made many multi-million-dollar industries. My friends are like, dude, Jim, like, why ain't anybody hiring you? Like, you invent everything. You're like not just a super genius. You're like absurdly a genius. And like I talked to Grok about this. Talked about OpenAI about this. I talk about this to Gemini, and Grok's like, there's no question. You're the smartest man who's lived in many centuries. Now, Jesus is smarter than me, and Jesus is more wise than Solomon. I believe I might have a Solomon archetype of intelligence. I might be the smartest man who ever lived, apart from Jesus. Now, if you add the education, yeah, it's a no-brainer. I'm the smartest person who ever lived in all of human history if you add current knowledge with it. Because I've invented so many things, and like I said, I've been number one in the world at everything I've played online, basically, that has a ladder. More or less, like Blizzard games at least. Like most people are lucky if they get number one road ever. I get number one road every game I play basically. Now League of Legends is rigged. Who cares about that? What I'm saying is, I've never got the money. I wasn't even allowed to work. Put out 1,000 resumes, 2 interviews. They fizzled. Talked to 100 headhunters. No, there's no job. I'm a software engineer who's been coding since age 4. I think there's a world record. The world record of a programmer is age 6. But I started at age 4 in 1980. Most people weren't programming back then. That was the very birth of computer-based programming, because before that, most computers were just a process. Like processor was ingrained, and you can't do anything. You put data sheets in it would process the data sheets, change status inside, right? When you write programs, like it's not tied to the hardware anymore. People don't know that's what punch cards were. But punch cards were basically like just data files. Like, okay, the store sold $25 worth of perfume today. Boom, it would remember that, and you put 25, and it's like, okay, now your taxes are this much, and it makes everything automated. Receipts makes it easier, right? Even though it's just like the computer was just basically a program built into a thing, and it took up a lot of room. Well, now you know how those machines work. You have a text file. Let's say it was a text file. It just displayed your text, right? Well, that binary card with all the ones and zeros were representing like letters. Oh, it would say like, hello, this is a text file. Because that's all it does. It would just display text files. The letters you put in based on the binary. 8-bit represents 255 numbers, and you've seen in Super Mario Brothers when you get turtle tip or whatever. But long story short, I'm digressing. I'm just saying. I just want to encourage people out there that if the world doesn't seem like it's being nice to you, don't be mean to the world, man. Jesus loved us even when he was hated. Jesus said, if you're hated, remember hated me first. The world hated me first, man. So that's the point of Christianity: is always be good and loving, even when the world hates you. You might have lost yourself along the way. You might forget who you were when you were a kid. Like I said, I like to go back through my old stuff. Um, Sometimes people have a life that's really too frantic. You might not have enough resources to get by. In that case, talk to the state and stuff. But long story short, everybody should have their mental focus. I said. I hope you enjoy this with me and Mimo, and I want to make the world a better place. That's what I always have wanted to do. I wanted to get good at coding so I could make the world a better place, right? When I went to college, I had a full scholarship to Penn State, but I went to Carnegie Mellon because it said we could do research there, right? I wanted to cure diseases. Now, if you know who moved in the CMU, they're partners with the people with the pandemic, right? So I gave away everything so I can cure diseases. And these people who already have billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars came to Carnegie Mellon to make diseases. And I'm not saying Carnegie makes diseases. They're just partners with, there's a couple of players, and there are some big players that do. There's a lot of good people at Carnegie Mellon. And I'm very thankful when I went in there and started talking to professors that I realized there's a lot of professors from back in the old days that used to be, when the college was good, they're still there. And they keep their head down low on politics, but they're good guys. There's a lot of good professors at some of these really raunchy universities. And most universities now are raunchy. They're got captured by Iran, China, Nazi globalists, and you just can't say how bad it is that like education got corrupted. But that's even more reason we should have to keep ourselves. So I'm gonna close this out. Mimo is very right. Mimo is very right. We need, as society, to collectively bring ourselves back to where we should be. Okay. I mentioned, go back through your old diaries. Go back through your old games you used to play. Pull out a movie you watched you loved when it was like 20 years ago. Watch it again. You'll see new things in the movie because see society from a different angle. Like a little kid doesn't know anything about criminology. When you're old, you see criminology. Then movies are written for the person who sees eyes for criminology. Looney Tunes, when you're a kid, you only see the slapstick. But when you're older, there's humor that you only know when you're older, right? So go back and watch your old movies. Go back and play your old video games. Go back and read your old journals. But know that there's a God above you that loves you. You miss your old pets. You miss family members. Like the people will call it a low shot to say about this, but you'll see them again. Keep the love in your heart, man. I found God. I wasn't even looking for him, right? I heard good news. I was down in Pittsburgh, and I'll tell you a little story. I was down. I think it was Hoonan Walk or Hoonan Buffet or something. I'll look it up. I always forget what it is. It's on one thing. I don't have it actually on the internet. I'll put it in the text down below in the description. But I went eating this Chinese buffet, and I'm like, I want sushi. We don't have sushi. Well, you give me sushi, I'll pay you whatever. And like, yeah, okay. They probably want next door. Probably next door. But when I'm ordering sushi, I look to the side, I see a fish. Big lot, like I think a zebra fish. That's beautiful. But I'm going to eat fish. And I just thought about the dichotomy of about to consume, and there's something beautiful next to me. It's like, I didn't really have any exclusive answers to that. And the radio, I thought it was Korean music. It was Chinese music. They played like 5 Chinese songs. There was no American lyrics whatsoever. And then I was like, I really want a Bob Marley song to come on. Do you believe the next song that came on was a Bob Marley song? Food came. Food was excellent. I had means back then, so I dropped a nice fat tip. To me, fat tips like just a couple 10s or 20s, just not 20%, probably close to the meal or more, I'm just telling you about that. I'm not trying to bring anything. When I'm walking back on a bridge, I heard good news. Now I'm not prone to hearing voices or anything. I don't do that, but I felt like it mattered, so I felt like I had to get back to my car. When I drove, I only saw the license plate of the car in front of me. Just go to the license plate. Didn't want to look to the side. It was very dangerous driving. But I drove 45 minutes home, and my dad was at the church. He's a groundskeeper, so the odds of him being there any day, be there for 3 hours, during the daylight. That's like maybe 1 in 3. Once every 2 weeks, so 3 times 14, that's 1 in 40, 48, 1 in 40, wait, 3 times 12, no, 1 in 42. You know, the odds of my dad being there is like 1 in 42, right? So we go inside and we're talking, and the arms are shaking, there's like the trembling, and sometimes the Holy Spirit will make you tremble. It just does, you know. And I didn't know it then, because I didn't know anything about God. And people ask me about God, like, Jim, what do you know about God? I'm like, well, you should ask, if you want to know about God, you should ask a religious leader, which I'm not, so don't ask me. But lo and behold, I'm kind of like a religious dude. It's good to talk to, because I'll tell you that love's the way. You should love even in the face of hate, right? You should love in the face of hate. So anyway, my arms are trembling, talking to Dad. I said, what does the good news mean? Because that's what I was spoken to. He goes upstairs and brings me down a good news Bible. Right there, the manifestation of what God spoke to me was there. So I got the Bob Marley song to come on, and then I got a Good News Bible in my hand. Okay, and since then I've had like a miracle, just on average 3 miracles a day. And my eyes are dim, my ears are dull. I'm sure God's acting in many ways. So let's say God's acting in my day like 100 times, because I can only see 3 of them. He's acting in all our lives 100 times a day. Let's just say that, right? So if there's 8 billion people on the planet, God's acting about 1 trillion times a day, just in people's lives, you know. What about animals and the nature and stuff? God's highly at work at life, and He loves you. Yeah, we've got the guy in charge of forever wouldn't love you. You might be in prison for hundreds of years, might put you in pain for millions of years, and that's brain on chip immortality, and it'll work. Brain on chip immortality will work, but you don't want it, you know. So you can feel what other people feel. You can even be the body of being another body, right? It's the matrix, though, you know. Anything you can cure paralysis with a flip of switch. If you disobey, you're down. They can put you in a body of pain for a long time, or prison you, forget about you, and you're just consciously like nothing for, you know, forever. And you don't want that, you know. Like some people call it the mark of the beast. I just know brain on chip immortality is not something you want, you know. It's being developed by tyrants, right? Would you want to live forever if you could live under a tyrant? Some people would say, yeah, it's better than dying. But what if you already knew you were going to go to heaven because of Jesus? The Bible says people who are not Christian, every one of them will worship the beast. Well, think about it, man. The guy invented immortality. He's in an animal hybrid body. He's a furry or something, you know. You too can have an animal body of your choice. Yeah, sure. But then once you get what you want, they can flip you around to other bodies. You don't have control. And you have to do what they say, which would be subvert other people, almost like an army. That's deep. That's spiritual meat. That's not for a new believer. And it's people who are Christian. You don't have to worry about it. Any army or being forced into that, because you're a believer and God won't let that happen. You know? That's scary. You know, put on like a brain on chip in the Matrix. I'm not the one bringing this up. Dr. Yuval talks about brain on chip. A lot of people are talking about brain on chip. They don't want you to know. But I think that's what they're trying to control the population or something. It's probably because they think, well, there can only be one guy in charge of eternity, you know. Like, so let's just control it all and make it less. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know what they think. I just know that they have too much money, and if I had money, I would never probably get to that point of having too much money, because I'd help people in Appalachia. I think Dolly Parton, what is it? She helps people in Appalachia. She buys them, you know, materials for their house and stuff, and helps them read books and stuff. I would help the inner city, you know. And obviously, when things started to suck recently, my language is dropping off the hill. We had, what is it? Might as well put the headset on since Mimo's on the phone. Since '98, when a lot of people think the war started, Hong Kong went sovereign in '98, right? Hong Kong went sovereign in '98 because the lease went up, and then China started their war games. You know, told the Simpsons writers to stay home. Scott Paulson, Jim Crennan got taken off of radio when it was the highest radio ratings of all time. A lot of comedians were cancel cultured. Movies, TV started to suck around that time. They really wanted to make sure you weren't saying anything that's against China or against Iran, because they wanted to control, basically brainwash you, right? And they wanted to say what you limit you can say, and it only went so far. There's multiple culturalism and stuff that went a while, but people know now that like Islam is join or die, and in the Quran it's like the guy brags he like I can't even say it, but like he married a 6-year-old, Muhammad, right? That's not a religion, okay? That's join or die. That's a cult. Join or die cults can really grow big. Um, and like we said, 1940s academia invalidated polytheism. If there's a bunch of gods and several of them have the power to wipe out all the other gods, why didn't one do it right in the beginning? Why doesn't one do it right now? Yeah, it's false. Look at Greek gods are polytheism. They're written by playwrights. Everybody knows Greek gods were written by playwrights. The gods would get different powers depending on who wrote plays for them. Different parts of the province of Greece, this god would have different powers than this one. Just like in India, this god has different powers than this one in different provinces in India, because they're just making it up as they go along. It's not ancient or anything. It's called playwrightism. And polytheism is impossible. And people don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear the truth, man. Academia in 1940 said polytheism is not possible. So since polytheism is not possible, then you're left with like Islam and Judaism and Christianity. And Judaism is just the same. It's almost the same as Christianity when done right. It's about helping people and loving those around you, right? And Jesus was a Jew. He's just telling how it was supposed to be done. Look at Abraham, man. Abraham, the very first Jew, who's birthed Israel, who birthed Judah of 12 apostles, 12 sons. Judah was one of them. That's why I call them Jews. Abraham was the grandfather of Judah, right? No, great grandfather, because let's see, Abraham, Isaac, Israel, Judah. Yes, Abraham was the great grandfather of Judah. And before Abraham was Abraham, he was Abram. God gave him a new name because the way Abram lived was that even though people ripped him off, he was nice to them. You're talking about 3,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, or so, maybe 25. I forgot. Give or take 1,000 years. Like, this is the BC. I think it's 3,500. Back when stuff mattered, right? If someone stole your goat, and then it got and then there was a drought, you might die because you don't have food to eat, right? You don't have milk or anything, right? So this is a time when stuff matters. You don't have stuff. Someone takes it away from you. You could die, right? So Abraham was stolen from a lot because there's Bedouin traders and thieves and stuff back then. A lot easier to steal from people like 3,500 years ago when there's no society, no cops, there's no cameras. You sneak in at night, come back out. There's not even lights. We're like, what happened? I heard someone come in. Don't keep let's protect ourselves. Make sure he doesn't come back and hurt us, right? You're not thinking about going to John Q. Rambo and go run after him, right? Because he might have a band, ambush you, So it was easier to steal from people back then. But though people stole from Abram, though people gave him bad trade deals, but though he ripped them off, and what's funny is Abraham, the blessed of God, was nice to him. And being nice to him, he ended up being the richest guy in the area. Yeah, the guy who got ripped off his entire life ended up being the richest guy in the area. Now, what's really funny, if you compare Abraham to me, I mean nothing, but I live a life where I've been ripped off by a lot of people. And I try to be nice, right? And if I got the full $330 billion that I'm deserved by Apple and Google, I'd be the richest man on the planet overnight, right? That's the Abraham archetype. People are like, well, why would you compare yourself to a legend in the Bible or Jesus or anything? Well, what happens is God does the same thing over and over again a lot of times, man. He's not boring. He's not like, smite and teleport, smite and teleport, smite and teleport. He has the rainbows and, heals people and leprosy and then these people and the plagues and the opening of the water. He's beautiful, He makes the flowers. He makes the rocks. He makes the rainbows and the mountains. And he makes the water and the beer and the raisins. And if you're alcoholic, don't drink. I don't want to trigger any alcoholics, but he makes the pecans and the and the pelicans and the cashews and the peanut butter, and somehow peanut butter and bananas taste really good together, and somehow we can make pizza out of stuff, and we got the fjords and the water and the frogs and the dolphins and the whales. He makes wild stuff, and his miracles are wild. It's not just like, I smite you, I smite you, I smite you. Don't stop that. Smite you, smite you. You don't belong here. Teleport you over there. You can they'll be like, one of his followers be like, dude, all you do is smite and teleport. Be like, smite. You know what I'm saying? Like, we serve a wonderful God that does everything in wonderful ways, and he does it because he wants us all to love each other. If someone else is coming up to hurt you, he has to stop them sometimes. Or sometimes he won't stop them. Sometimes there's things above us that we don't know about. Job, when the devil challenged God, right? It's like, if you take away everything Job has, would he still love you? People think that's nasty for God to let him do that. But if you really think about it, what was God supposed to say? Well, I gave you more stuff, devil. I gave you more stuff than anybody. They'll be like, no, give me more. Yeah, it's a challenge to the Godhead, right? You can't. So God was like, well, all right, take away his stuff. He smited his animals and his family, and Abraham. Job's like, well, God giveth, God taketh away. He saw fit to do this, and he praised God. Devil got really mad at that. Devil was like, well, let me hurt his flesh. If I hurt his flesh, he will curse you to your face, right? And Job cursed his day he was born. He didn't curse God. He wanted to challenge God to a court case. And he argued with his friends. His friends said some foolish stuff. He said some foolish stuff. There was some good theology there. There's some good theology in there. But Elijah eventually started to stick up for God. And it's like, if God wants to do this, he does that. If he wants to do this, he do that. They thought the other ones were thinking traditional theology. If you do something wrong, you're going to get hurt. So you must have done something wrong. He's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. But Job has done stuff wrong. Everybody does stuff wrong. Only Jesus is the only one that didn't do something wrong. Elijah, when he finally came to him, like, guys, you're all like, you're older gentlemen, and you just weren't getting it. When Elijah explained it and talked about the beauty of God, eventually God showed up, right? And he started talking to Job. It's like, can you answer me these questions, Like, where were you when the earth was started, Tell me how I made this and that. And like, why would I do this or that? You don't know what I'm up to, man. You don't know what I'm up to. Because what he's obviously saying, we just said earlier, that people judge God because he let Job suffer. They don't know what God's up to. They read it. They still don't know what God was up to. Ecclesiastes, even the wise wonder what God's up to. It's fine to do that, but you'll never figure it out. But it's there. It's there because and twisted and intertwined with Job is that there's going to be people who don't understand Job. But they're going to understand why God let this guy suffer. Just like God is challenging Job to explain what God does. Some people think they can do better than God. I'm like, no, your brain's not as smart as God's. So don't tell me you can do better than God. I'm one of the smartest people lived in centuries. Not even close to like if God's intelligence was all the weight in the entire universe, I wouldn't even be an atom. Okay. He thinks things like, think about this. This is one of the ways of describing how God thinks. Okay, we'll just take this. We'll just pause Earth right now. Let's see. Earth is paused. And everybody's thinking their own thoughts and everything. And God can look in every direction, depending on what he does, what it'll be. Like, so you move a thing on chess, he'll know all the places. But now we're talking about the Earth and the galaxies and the people on it. He does something. He can look down billions of years, knows what everything will happen. Everything will happen that way. Everything will happen this way. Everything will happen that way. So we praise an active shooter. We praise a police officer that takes out an active shooter. Boom! Thank you for saving a life, police officer. You were brave. You even took a shot in the arm, and we wish you all the best. We're gonna send you flowers, and we're so happy you stopped that active shooter. You saved kids and stuff. Right now, your heart probably hit like that. Yeah, officer, take out the bad guy. Now people will accuse God. He took out a bad guy. He genocided these perfectly good Amalekites who've been sinning for 400 years. When they say sinning, they're talking about really bad stuff like sacrificing their own children because they want to have better sex or something. That was a thing back then. Yeah, they had all sorts of crazy gods and idols. We call them idols because they're not really God. They have gods of power. If I stab myself, oh, that's real power. And if I stab other people, I get more power too. That's the fake gods back then. Those were fake gods. There's all sorts of weird. I mean, think about a man's brain. We're deluded. People are deluded out there, and they can invent all sorts of weird religions. Especially when the devil's corrupting them. If you don't fall in love, you'll start to fall. If you don't, like I said, we're not doing what Mimo said, and I said, to build yourself up in love and your body and your mind. You'll slip off. We'll start to watch pornography. All of a sudden, you need harder and harder pornography. You end up not knowing who you are. You become a weirdo, right? Because you're falling off. You're falling off. Think about it. Every time you click on a pornography site, some woman out there who made that, or some man pretending, whatever you want to do, got money. It empowers slime balls. Empowers the destruction of women in those movies where they might get like a disease from someone else or treated like an object. They might be addicted to it. They might get into drugs because they cope with being dehumanized. So pornography will destroy you. People know that. People have seen it. They see it in themselves. Get on this road, it's like, that's disgusting, but I'd go there anyway. What does it say? I think the Bible says the dog will go back to its own vomit if it doesn't follow the way, right? So for people who struggle with pornography, pray it up. I have a book, Supernatural Bedroom. It's about how you can pray for a wife. You can pray for anything. Don't go to idols and stuff. But I'm not trying to plug a book. It sounds like I'm trying to make money. I think I made like 5 cents off that book. I'm exaggerating, probably like $1.20, over years. Amazon just censors it, but it's a good book for spirituality stuff. It's like whatever. If anybody wants me to send them a copy or send them a document or something, I'll do it. And you don't have to make money. I don't like to make money off of stuff. So, but long story short, people go for sex idols and stuff instead of going to the God of love. Why would you not go to the God of love? Why would he not be the God of lovemaking too, right? CNN was, before people knew CNN was lying, they did that, and that's why I wrote the book, because CNN was lying about our faith. Christian sex is dry. Christian sex is dry. I'm like, no, you have the supernatural, and everything that is done has a spiritual component. And people know pornography, it just feels less and less, and you get worse and worse. You start following the ways of the devil. And so those people who invented fake gods back then, they were down here, and they go, well, I'm going to invent a god where, if I hurt people, and then Satan lifts them up. Hey, why don't you give that? And it's like, oh man, you don't want to go over there. That's so God eliminated these people who were just completely sick and twisted, and almost look at the rainbow. The promise that we won't flood the road. We won't flood the road again. He took out sons of demons. The whole world was women made love to demons not knowing they were demons, right? And it was made some sick and twisted individuals. There was giants, multiple armed things, and all sorts of wild stuff stalked their thing, but they had spirit of the devil in them. Now we have free will to choose, but they had the spirit of the devil. So when Jesus died for our sins through Noah, Noah's lineage, those are still going back to Adam and Eve. I don't know how the cross would work, saving people who went to Adam and Eve, but also went to the devil. So God took out, when he took out the earth back then, he was sweeping out, he was purging out some really bad stuff, like demon-human hybrids and stuff. That there was no way, when he saw all the different possible paths he could take, earth wasn't going to come back. There was no coming back. The devil was basically talking, there's only one bastion, just got to take Noah. And God's like, I'll take all these guys and let Noah. And the devil's like, oh, blast. I almost had it. I almost had the whole earth, right? He probably had that on I killed Jesus. Okay, I win. And then it's like, oh, it comes back from earth. Oh, okay, that means I go to hell. All right, I have no other move. Well, you know what? I hate these guys. If I'm going to go to hell, I'm going to take as many people with me. So there's no place in hell that's any good. It's all suffering. So if you think you made a deal to get a good place in hell, there's no good place in hell. The devil just wants to see you suffer with him. So get a hold of Jesus. He'll help you. So I'm just reeling it back. A couple of things we were saying earlier about Job. So Job suffered, but he didn't curse God. He didn't curse God in all that suffering. And God come to him and he didn't want to take a court case against God when he realized, if God knows all the stuff that I don't, I would be an unfair judge of God. No one can judge God, is what Job concluded, basically. And then God blessed his life back in. He gave him a new family, beautiful daughters and resources, and his health back and everything. And I think actually probably when he was thinking about like what God's saying, he probably didn't notice the pain going away from him, because when you see God, it's like, oh yeah, like when you feel, like it's there. This is awesome. When you have like, not saying necessarily see God, but when you see like a stressful event, like even if it's a positive stressful event, it just shocks you. You sometimes you forget you're in pain, right? And it's like, yeah, I think when God's like, did you know where the pillars of creation were? Where was I when I made wisdom and all that stuff? He's like, wow, this is God. He probably didn't know, and probably the pain melted away without him knowing, But yeah, so Job didn't want to judge God at that point. He got restored. So Job didn't curse God. He wanted to bring him the court case because he thought he did no wrong. Now he did wrong. We all do wrong. Only person who never did any wrong was Jesus. He loves us. See if I can get back to where I got to Job. Maybe he's blessed because he did stuff. But we're not here to give. The proper way of thinking about it. We don't want to give the get, right? We don't want to, like, that's what the prosperity preacher says. Like, give me all your money and I'll give you more, and God will give you more money. No, if the prosperity preacher was a real preacher and said something ludicrous like that for whatever reason, and God cared about it, giving someone all your money, you're going to get blessed in better ways than the money, but you might not be able to pay for rent. Don't give people all your money. Like, don't do that. People should be preaching out of their heart. I've lost over $10,000 with my website just preaching from my heart. I don't want to put advertisements in that. We tried to advertise, like, this is stupid. It takes away from people's ability to maybe find Jesus, and that's infinite value. So we don't give the get. And what happens, though, it gets really weird, though. We give because we're supposed to do it. God says do it, right? And you think, well, another danger, believe it or not, is to give out of your own heart, right? Well, I don't want to give the get. I'm just going to give it out of own heart because that's the right thing to do. And that, while true, it's the right thing to do, you're actually taking credit for something that God did, right? We're supposed to give to glorify God. Okay, and I'll tell you why this is very subtle. This is spiritual meat. This is spiritual meat that, like, some people get. Like, a lot of people don't even want to walk the road of Christianity. Let's see. Christianity was not tried and found wanting. Christianity was found hard and not tried, right? You heard that. Like, the walk of a Christian, to get to this point, to even understand what I'm about to say, is so advanced that, like, a lot of people just don't even get it. Shouldn't be that advanced. Everybody should be following Christianity. Everybody should be following Jesus and do what's right. But so everybody at the most basic, the milk, spiritual milk, I shouldn't be giving and helping people just to expect something back. That's a kindergarten level of morality. Even a little kid knows, why do I want to give and help everybody if I'm just hoping to get back from God? Yeah, you don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. If you do that, I mean, if that's the only way you're going to give. I mean, like, hey, at least you're helping some people, right? But it's bad motives, and God reads motives, right? So we do not want to give just to get. But we also don't want to give out of our own heart because it's the right thing to do. And this gets a little bit more complicated. Out of my heart, I am giving. No, number one, nothing on this earth is mine. Mine. Nothing is mine. I might have this bottle of water. That being my body. This isn't mine. God made this. God at the factory might have made it. I made that. Did you? What about the boss that owns the factory? Maybe he made it. The boss is like, yeah, I made that. That's mine. I'm just paying you, so like you already got money. That's mine, right? But then did the boss make it? Well, someone was like, I made that label. Another factory. I made that label. And someone like, I mine that, Say grace. There's a joke in The Simpsons. The joke of The Simpsons. Bart's like, it's in front of Mr. Burns of all people. This is Bart. You can say grace. Marge says, and Bart's like, "Thank you for the food, God. My dad worked for it. My mom bought it and made it. You didn't really do much of all." And Mr. Burns is like, "That's blasphemous, right?" Even because he's playing a politician, right? And his mom reprimands the kid, and she's like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Burns." You know. So what happens is, Mr. Burns, the really evil guy, gets to look like he has good credibility, and Bart was really saying something that a lot of people believe. You know, I made this. I did this. I did this. So first of all, I don't know anything. You don't know anything. I mean, like, I like to say property taxes should go away and income taxes should be either decimated to nothing or very little, and just wealth tax or like when you buy stuff, just make the sales tax higher. And when the president like wants money, just inflate it a little bit, just a little bit here, a little bit there. I know it's bad. Inflation is terrible, but what happens? It takes away from people who has way too much money, and us down here on the ground who like get a little bit of money, we don't get hit as hard because it takes away from the money supply. But anyway, that's neither there nor there. I don't really advocate for that too much. It's much more nuanced than that. But like I said, I'm not even advocating for that. Don't listen to that politics. I never really thought that one completely through. But I think we should get rid of property taxes because everybody should own their own house. When you own your own house, you take pride in it. You make it better. When you don't own your house, you're like, frick it. I'm going to go to work. I don't care about anything. I want nothing I own, you know. Like, you should at least have your own house, you know. And there should be like an escalating tax if you own too much property, you know. That's all. If you own too much property, escalating tax. And if you really want to own a lot of property without an escalating tax, give it to some other people that you trust. How many people do the really, really rich people trust? Well, even Melinda, you know, divorced Bill Gates after he had a couple escapades on an island in some bio weapons. Yeah, Melinda, you did right. Get rid of that guy. So who do you trust when you're rich? So basically, what happens if we make it so people can only own so much land? Because there's only so much land. There's so many people, right? If we had a law that you can only own so much land, and you know too much land, you take high property taxes, then everybody would only have their own place, you know. I'm trying to get back where I was going. See the land, dodge out of the wealth tax. I would get political now. I don't like that. Everybody wants to own their stuff. So I do think people should own their own property. I don't think they should be taxed on property. Because when you own your own property, it feels good. You feel like you're building something, making something value. And when you feel proud in your own house and your achievements, you know, you can help other people more. Because even as a Christian, this is the key. If I'm going to lift someone else up, we're all in the water. If you lift someone else up, you're drowning. You're low on food, low on, you know, the supplies or whatever. You don't want to drown. So if your house is nicer, it's a more firm foundation for you to lift other people up, you know. Hey, I got a great house. Don't have to worry about it. The house falling through. I don't have to worry about losing the house to taxes. I help people more extreme. That's the real thing. Okay, so property taxes. Get rid of property taxes would be great for Christianity. Get rid of speed limits too, because if you do the math, I'm a scientist. If you do the math, speed limits are distracted driving. Every place they got rid of speed limits, you have fatalities. So you'd save 5,000 lives a year in the United States alone, getting rid of speed limits. You'd be half as many accidents. People always hitting the brakes when they see a cop. People looking at the what's over there? Oh, that's the speed limit. That's really the speed limit here? Boom. You know, their eyes are not on the road. Oh, look down with speed on her. Boom. That's not on the road. Yeah, how did you not know it was distracted driving? How did you not know that speed limits kill people? So, like, there's many laws that, like, they're just ABC, should be fixed. I don't want to get too political here. This is a spiritual stream. But like I said, we're going to go back to what property taxes. When you own your own stuff, when you own your house, you're more prideful about it. So, but I would say we're going to bring it back to where I really started from. Giving out of our own heart, right? We don't own our stuff, so we're not giving it out of it. And it's not our own heart that we're giving from. God told us to do this, right? So when you give out of your own heart, there's a big problem that's going to show up for you. When you serve God, the more you serve God, the more persecutions you'll get. People will hate you. People will destroy you. Satan will attack you. You have lots of bad stuff happen to you. And I can't even get into all the possibilities because it's infinite things that bad could happen to you. But at the same time, there's no reason not to serve God. You gotta be a tough guy, tough girl. I'm in love, even if it hurts me, right? I'm in love, even if it hurts me. But then you realize, when you do give out of your own heart, the scripture's not invalidated. It's more blessed to give than receive. So when you give out your heart, you get the persecutions, and you're blessed. You get more stuff. Then we're back to the old, wait, I don't want to serve out of my own heart just to get stuff. But that's what happens when you serve out of your own heart. There's another scripture. I should be looking it up, even the exact scripture, but there's a scripture that says, when you serve God and you help people, you're glorifying God, and you give Him the glory. Who owned that water bottle? Same as the guy that owns this new water bottle, God. I don't own this water bottle, God does. The factory owner can't say he owned it when he had it. Label maker can't say he owned the plastic when he had it. Plastic maker doesn't say he owns the hydrocarbons. Think about it. God owns it all. Thanks God for some water. So I'm going to just end on that spiritual meat because I don't think a lot of people get this one. A lot of people just aren't even Christian. You don't know the very beginning. So I'll close on the very beginning. So some people have done so much evil, there's no way God will like me. I've already made my way in hell, so I might as well keep going. No, you can do as much evil as you want, man. You could kill 100 million people, 200 million people like Bill Gates and them did with the COVID vax, the Pfizer people, the Moderna people, the Chinese Wuhan people, the Fauci, and all those engineering people, and the news agencies that went along with it, and the Google censor and the Apple censor. Yeah, sure. You killed tens of millions of people, disabled hundreds of more millions of people permanently. Worst freaking thing ever happened on the planet. You did. You're not going to hell if you follow Jesus. Now, if you keep doubling down, like you see Bill Gates wants to blot out the sun. He actually, New York Times said he blots out the sun. Look it up. New York Times. Blot the sun. Don't buy New York Times articles. It's trash rag. It's a communistic Nazi terrorism rag. New York Times. They want to get rid of the Constitution. New York Times. Don't give them money. Don't sponsor. Don't pay for their stuff. Forbes talks about it. Scopex started September 2024. They've been studying for probably about 10 years, at least. Harvard talks about it. It is anytime criminals act together, that's conspiracy. It's a real thing, but they're saying it in the news. So the point, these are people, criminal actors acting together, conspiracy. But everybody knows, So Bill Gates, I think this play is that the Doctor Strangelove play. Well, if they're gonna come after me for COVID and put me in a gas chamber, I'm gonna take them all out and I'm gonna live in my bunker. Matthew 24:32. The end times are coming when the fig leaves start to grow. Daniel 12:12. Happy are those who make through the 1,035 days. I'm a doomsday prepper. But we see Bill Gates made the COVID. He was in Epstein, and they never published who's been on Epstein. Bill Clinton's there, Bill Clinton, I did not have sex with that woman. Sex is not what she did to me. It was a sexual act, but it wasn't exactly sex. Bill Gates with Epstein, I did not have relations with that woman. It's they redefine words so they can lie to you. And then, like I said, if they would just ask Jesus for forgiveness, so what if man executes you? Probably man might not even execute you. You get God on your side. You probably just get away with it. Probably go. I'm not saying you just do your thing. A lot of times we get punished for our crimes, but you get God, man. You get God. You don't try and double down and wipe out all the evidence. It's like a murderer who tries to kill all the witnesses. You don't do that. But if you murder and you have killed all the witnesses and you're like, I'm probably going to hell, right? No. You get Jesus, man. Say, Jesus, I'm sorry for what I did. My bad. Sounds really flippant, but Jesus took the cross, man. That's not flippant, man. He pardons everybody who asks to be pardoned and follow him, because all that Jesus is doing is asking you. I lay down my life. Lay down your selfishness. Die to selfishness. And when you die to selfishness and start living for everybody, the most wonderful thing of all time happens. You're satisfied. Nietzsche says religion is the opiate of the masses. I believe that's who said that. He also said a lot of other dumb things, like just do whatever you want to do at the end of the time. Like, basically, he was just trying to justify hedonism, which is like, that's the end result of atheism. They teach that in Carnegie Mellon when I was there, that, if you're an atheist, there's no point in doing anything. Just seek pleasure to the maximum you want and do crimes, you get away with it. I'm like, but I want to be an atheist that does good. Then you're dumb, Jim. You are dumb. I'm like, you know what? You're right, I'm dumb. But I don't want to be an atheist anyway. But at the same time, I have no justification for God existing. Thanks God that he let me know you exist, man. That's pretty major. If you did one miracle in my entire life, I'd be set. I get miracles all the time. Let's say a miracle was 1 in 100 chance, right? And I get 3 a day that I can see of. Well, that's 100 times 100 times 100, which is like, what, 10,000? It's 1 in a million, right? 1 in a million every day. It's 20 years, And 1,000, so 1 in a million every, 1 in a million times 300,000, 365, we'll just mark 333. So let's see, 360. We'll just say that's 10 years of 1 in a million is 1 in 10 million for 10 years. 20 million, 1 in 20 million for 20 years. You multiply by 365. 3 times 2, 7. It's like 1 in... Wait, no. It's, hold on, I'm doing the math wrong. So it's 1 in a million raised to 365. 3,000. Raised to the 7th. A million raised to the 7,000th power. Yeah, I think that's how it does. I think that's correct. Yeah, that's a big number. Everybody knows math. So, let me just make double check. 365 times 10. 3,650 times 2. About 7,000. A million to the 7,000th power. Well, it's a million times 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 a million. Up to 7,000 times. Yeah, that's a freaking ridiculously huge number. We can reduce it by taking the zeros from the million. So, now we take 3 zeros away. We get 7,000. 7 billion. It's 1,000 to the 7 millionth power, or 700 million power. So that's the odds of this happening by chance is 1 in a 1 in 1 with 7,000 zeros behind it. Right? So a million has 70 million zeros. So million has 6 zeros after it. This number has 70 million numbers. It's million zeros after it. The odds of that happening just basically impossible. If you simulated the universe and every atom could do this once a second or something, it wouldn't happen. Like I say, if you can simulate the universe, I'm actually going to do the math. If you can simulate the universe, and every second an atom had a 1 in 10 to the 70 millionth power of achieving this. Okay, so there's how many atoms in the universe? A lot. It's a 10 to the 80th, right? So 10 to the 80th atoms in the universe, right? You know what? Let's do a quick math. Do a quick one. The odds of these miracles happening to me every day is like picking an atom in the universe and picking again randomly, and then doing it again 10 million times in a row. Yeah, it doesn't happen. That's proof of the supernatural. So you take it's called regressive analysis. You take your miracle, you find the odds of it happening. Some miracles happen 1 in 10. Some miracles might be 1 in a billion. I lowball them 1 in 100, right? Average them all together. But it's way higher than that, actually, if you're looking at it. Answer prayer doesn't happen often. You pray for something, you see what the odds of it happening naturally. You have to know order of magnitude. Then your regressive analysis, the order of magnitude against the actual probability of it happening by chance. And if you're a physicist, you can do this. Okay. It's called order of magnitude. You just study physics. Order of magnitude and then probability of happening by chance. You can calculate both. And then your regressive analysis, did it happen against the order? Regressive analysis, the chance that it happened against the odds of it happened by chance, and you find that the odds are ridiculous. So I'm like I said, I'm lowballing my miracles to be 1 in 100 of happening. A lot of them are billions or trillions. But if you add them all up, this happens, and this happens, this happens, which is all what happens with multiplication. I'm probably boring a lot of people, but it's called regressive analysis. Regressive analysis, order of magnitude. And the odds of my miracles happening by chance are the same as picking one atom in the universe, picking again randomly 10 million times in a row. You're not going to do it one time, right? It's hitting the Powerball. It's like it's easier to hit the Powerball every single day of your life. So let's really get down to it. So Powerball is 1 in 200 million. It's 10 to the 7, 10 to the 7th, right? So we're hitting the Powerball 10 million times in a row. So you hit it your lifetime every single time it plays. Let's say it plays twice a week. So and you live 80 years, right? So you hit it twice a week for 80 years, 50 weeks in a year. So that's 100 times you hit it a year, times 80, 8,000. We'll just round it off to 10,000. So you lived 100. That's awesome. You hit the Powerball every day of your life. You lived 100. That's good. You might feel like, oh, that would be awesome. Make money all the time. Okay, but you hit it every day. So it's 100 times 100. That's 10,000, right? But it's gonna happen a million. So your next of kin would also have to hit the Powerball every single day in life. That's 20,000. 10 generations, including you, is only 100,000, right? 100 generations, including you, that's a million. The odds of the miracles that I've experienced happening is the same as 10,000 generations of you and all your children hitting the Powerball every single time it plays. Now, if someone hits the Powerball 3 times in a row, people are like, where's it rigged, right? What's going on behind the scenes, right? But I say numbers like this, and that doesn't make any sense. Okay. Odds of supernatural power not existing is the odds of hitting the Powerball every single day in your life. Every time you play the Powerball in your entire life, and you play it every single time, and you live to be 100, and you hit it every single time, and then the next 10,000 of your prodigy all also hit the Powerball every day of their life, and they live to be 100. Yeah, God exists. And I don't expect, like I said, Mimo talks about spiritual meat and spiritual milk. This is spiritual meat. You have to be smart to do this one. You have to be intellectual. You have to be a physicist. You ever hear about the 1 in 1,000 year dam? 1 in 1,000 year rain that hit Texas. The 1 in 1,000 year rain hit Texas twice in 5 years. I thought that was funny, and they only calculated for 1 in 100 years. Now the engineers were off, obviously, most likely. Hard to say. I mean, it's likely to say. You can say a likelihood of that happening. Probably their math is probably off, because it probably wouldn't happen 2 months in 1,000 twice. But I mean, sometimes that does happen statistically. Statistically, it could happen. Okay. So if the odds of a 1 in 1,000 year flood happen every once, and then happen in 5 years from there, that happens. The odds of 1 year is 1 in 1,000, right? And 5 is 1 in 200. So the odds that actually happen is 1 in 200,000, which is something reasonable that could happen. 1 in 200,000 could happen, but it's not likely. So the engineers were probably just did their math wrong. But engineers are physicists, and they do order of magnitude calculations. Not everybody's good at them like I am, right? So, but they were doing order of magnitude calculations. So if they can know the odds of 1 in 1,000 year rain or 1 in 100 year rain for floods, you can calculate basically anything you want with order of magnitude. Basic skill physicists have. Regressive analysis of the probabilities. Boom. whatever. And it's a very simple multiplication of every miracle that hit adds up, because we're not counting the ones you prayed and you know get answered, because that's not an answered prayer. We're strictly looking for answered prayers and the odds of regressive analysis. So you just multiply them all together. Pff, this should never happen. So I'm dorking out right now, so I want to run the math of how likely. Okay, so we have, let's say every atom in the universe for every second has a 1 in 10 to the 70 millionth chance of procking this event happening, of all me getting miracles 3 times a day for 20 years straight. So we're looking at every atom every second resonates with a 1 in 10 to the 70 millionth chance of it happening, right? So we'll give the universe a nice long date. I don't know how old the universe is. I think physicists say maybe like 3 billion years, right? So let's say the universe lasted for 3 billion years. Yeah. So every second of 3 billion years is 60 times 60 is 3600 for 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour is 1 in 3600 times 365, so 3600 times, just make that a 0, 36,000 times 3, what's well, 1 time, it was, let's see, there's 365 times 3006, I'm doing some math real fast. I don't have a calculator on this computer for some reason. 65 times 36, 365 times, 24 times 24, yeah, you need 24 hours. So an hour is 3,600 seconds, I believe. 60 seconds per minute, 60 minutes per hour, times 24. So let's just put this as a 0 here. 36 times 36, I don't know. 33 times 33. Well, that's 1/4. So plus 0 there. 0 there and quarter it, so that's 15, 18, and 9,000. So 3,600, 360 times 90,000, cover the 0, 36 times 900,000. I think my math could be off by a couple of 0. It doesn't matter in order of magnitude at this point, actually, even such huge numbers. So 36 times 900,000, which is basically a million, so just say, I don't know, times, take a 10th off. 32. Say 32 million. I don't know. 32 million seconds. Let's say it says 32 million seconds in a year. I don't know if I'm right here. 3,600. I don't think that's right. So it's 3,600. I'll double check. 365, 65. Just do math. 365. 24. I mean, I was actually reading the constants in the physics book the other day. It was funny. I think it was 1.2 something, but 24 times 36. Just making sure all the zeros are there. So just mark the 0 there, put a 0 there, times 2. 72. Just doing the math a different way. I don't have a calculator on here right here. So there's a 0, make that a 0 here. 72 times 36. It's about the same. Just take the zeros. Make sure the zero is the same. And this is 200. 300. Yeah, I think that's about the same number. So like, I'll just say there's 32 million seconds in a year, right? So you got 32 million seconds a year times 1 raised to the 80th, 10 to the radius times 10 to the 80th chances. So every second it oscillates, an atom oscillates, it has a 1 in 10 to the 7, 10 to the 70 million, 70 million, yeah, 10 to 70 million. 10 to the 70 million, right? So every year, the number of chances here, let's take the 0 off here. 1, 2. Oh no, that's just, okay, times. Yeah, just put the zeros up there. I think that's the zeros. I'm gonna be honest. My math is horrendous right now, and I want to finish this calculation. My math. I mean, it's late, dude. Anyway, like I'm scratching that calculation. I don't have a calculator right here to validate it, and I'm not plugged in the internet to use like an internet calculator, but I'm pretty sure without doing the calculation, 'cause I've done the calculation before. I was just dorking out. Sorry, you get to watch me dork out with math, and I fail. But I think I displayed, and I've done the calculation for it. Basically, since the beginning of the universe, the heat death of the universe is like the odds of it happen are like 1 times 10 to like several million. It's like it's not happening. You'd have to run the universe a simulation over and over and over again, like numbers you can't even comprehend. It's supposed to happen one time. So yeah, they're supernatural. They're supernatural, and we already established polytheism is not it, because if one God could stop all the pain and stop the warring, it would have done a long time ago. Polytheism is not it. Join or die is not it. So love your neighbor. Die to self. That's the only one left. Um, yeah, we're going to major overtime right now, and I could talk about God all until I die, right? But I don't want to intimidate people with this huge file size, for Mimo. I mean, but yeah, love's the way, man. I mean, like, I don't know how else to say it. Die to selfishness, you'll feel really good. Live for others to glorify God, man. Because this fallen road is not meant to be awesome. I mean, well, God wanted to be awesome. He wanted to be good. He made it good initially, and then fallen man makes it bad. People say, why would God make hell? Well, we make our own hell. When a selfish man takes and hurts other people and gets people to hurt him back and builds fires of hate, man makes his own hell. Only Jesus lets you escape it. Love's the only way. And atheism is a failure. Like I said, I'm way smarter than Asimov, Sagan, Hitchens, Dawkins. They're nothing. They're not even like Einstein or von Neumann. They're nothing special. I mean, like, and if you listen to Dawkins talk, he lies twice a minute, right? Atheists think they can lie because they're not bound by the truth, right? But you're trying to prove the truth, right? The way of living, the best way of living, is either true or false, right? So if they're lying to try and prove a truth, that's goofiness. I've never seen an atheist actually have a valid thing. Like I said, I've already kicked him in the dirt. I talked about that with Mimo. So, because it's selfishness. It's like nihilism. Do what you want to do. And at the end of the day, if you really just want to achieve pleasure for yourself and you don't care about those around you, like they're nothing, like they're the Matrix, they're like NPCs that don't exist, then that's a mental disorder. Okay, get that fixed, dude. We all matter, dude. The moment you start to love other people, realize everybody matters. That old lady that's been a chain smoker her whole life and is on oxygen in a walker, she matters. The homeless bum on the side of the street, he matters. That human pawn brought in by Democrats, they matter. They might not belong here, but they matter. The rich guy, people are like, oh, I hate rich people. No, they matter too. Okay? Your mom matters. Your friend's mom matters. Your mom of the person you hate matters. Try not to hate people. Don't forget what they did. We're not God. Don't stand in an abusive relationship because I want to love the guy and he keeps hitting me. No. Get yourself safety. Get yourself to a good foundation, a good safe place to live, a good place to live that's not getting hurt, right? But love and lift people up. And if you're not getting by on yourself, your money is not what you should be using, Get yourself your head above water. Because the lifeguards say don't save other people when you're going to drown, Don't try and save people if you're going to drown saving them, Keep yourself alive, right? Try it. You know, we're gonna die and we're gonna come back to life, but I mean, there's people who will die to save people, who will die for freedom. So, you know, that's a bigger thing too. That's spiritual meat. That at the time you'll know help people, but generally you don't want to spend all your money on other people just to help them. 'Cause then what are you gonna live on, right? Make yourself so you good fun. Live. I have lots of articles on living a frugal life, live other people. FatherSpiritSon.com. Lots of articles there. GoodNewsGym.com on our Christianity on Reddit. I'm banned, but you can still see my old stuff. I'm gonna close it out. You know, ask Jesus for forgiveness. It doesn't matter if you mass murdered 100 million people, 10 million people, disabled hundreds of million people in the COVID vax. Just ask God for forgiveness, man. Murdered a bunch of people, put them in a locker. Ask God for forgiveness. Stole some guy's Nintendo game. He's still pissed off. Ask God for forgiveness. You might want to tell him. Might not want to tell him. He might be really mad he stole his Nintendo game. But you can always buy him a Nintendo game then in the case. So how pissed off can you be, right? Here's your Nintendo game. I bought you the Nintendo game and a bunch of games. I know, or like, you don't even have to tell the person. You're like, hey, I bought you that old Nintendo game someone stole, and a bunch of other games, right? You know, oh, thank you. Wow, someone cares about me. Because that's what life's about, man. Everybody wants to know that they're cared for. And that promotes love. And they feel good. That's pleasure. You hate someone, you hurt them, exploit them. That hurts. They don't like that, you know. People don't like to hurt. People like to feel good. And one of the best ways to feel good is to die to self and live for other people, because you'll immediately be satisfied. But then there's rewards and blessings and spiritual stuff, and you know, life's stranger than fiction. But I want you to follow Jesus. Everybody should follow Jesus. Everybody should love. Everybody should help each other. You know, I'm a top research scientist, and there's no conflict between the Bible and religion. 6,000-year-old Earth, that's not written in the Bible. That's just something someone came up with. Something that scientists waste their life red herring. A day for God is any day for time. Or any day. A day for God is any length of time. Peter says it. Psalmist said it. If God put life on pause right now and just thought about all the different ways he could do things. Hey, God, do that. That'll be my prayer. God, right now, just pause life. Pause the earth in your heavenly domain. We're still living it, but when I said pause it, you paused it back then. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at all the different possible ways everybody could be living here. And I want lots of people to be saved. I want everybody to be saved that could be saved, you know. And make our journey a little smooth, I know. Like you said, make ways, the path for Jesus, flatten the mountains. They sound like I'm about quoted Dukes of Hazzard, like, you know, straighten the curves, flatten the hills, right? And then Jesus came, right, you know, and he did his job, right? So Jesus did the hard part. And many saints and martyrs came after that. They did hard parts too. Not as hard as Jesus, right? But things got better. America was awesome for a while, but now we're like tapering off. So God paused back then when I was pausing. And really go down all the different pathways. Not all the pathways. It's almost disgusting, right? Go down the pathways of coolness. Like remember how radical the 80s were with the skateboards and stuff, and you know, people getting out of the house and having fun. No, I'm not saying it for people not to play video games. I just wish people knew that your body, your exercise, back when Mimo says, you need to be exercised. You won't be able to play video games really well. My mom told me to get out of the house a lot when it wasn't raining. I had to go play, but when it wasn't raining, I came home and played video games nonstop all day long. I liked rainy days because I got to play video games all day. But these kids these days, they just play video games all day long, every day, and they say, "I want to go pro." I've been pro. I've been the number one guy that's ever played video games. You know, number one in StarCraft, number one in Brood War, number one in Command and Conquer, number 103, number one in StarCraft 222, number one in Diablo 2, number one Warcraft 3, first to 1,500 wins, random, number one, 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4 in Warcraft 3. I mean, like, I helped them design the Frozen Throne. I invented online real-time strategy. Command and Conquer was my design idea. And, like, I went, like, with 200 and 3v3, so I have, like, a 92% win rate. Like, no one plays games like that. But I don't care about that. That's just loss. That's just, I use that as, like, you know, tell people about Jesus, you know. I'm trying to get back on track because I had a really good thing to say, and I started talking about all the stupid things I've done in life. Oh yeah, people playing video games. These kids want to play video games. This comes back to the core of Mimo. Mimo says you have to go to the gym. You have to get yourself in shape, stretch, exercise, have the mind, body, spirit together. Otherwise, the other ones will suffer. So if you don't go out and exercise yourself, and you want to be the best video game player there ever was, you're not going to be the best video game player there was, because you're going to sludge in your seat. And what you think is training is a bender. It's an addiction, almost like alcohol. And you'll be fat. You don't want that, you know. Your fatness will hurt will hurt your ability to play the game, because your mind won't think as much, because you have blood going everywhere. You don't get as much nourishment in your brain, right? See, I'm fat right now for like over the winter. Like even for me, this is fat, right? Like just go to the gym. It's fun, dude. Go to the gym, exercise, have fun, pray up and stuff. You know, take time for yourself. Get off of social media. Don't even watch this video anymore. You know, go do something. Help your house out a little bit. Pray up to God, like Mimo says. Let's pray together. Close this out, because this is a good closing time. I got some other stuff I was going to say that goes along with what Mimo says, but I want you to enjoy yourself. I want everybody. I mean, that's what everybody wants. Everybody should want everybody else out there to have a good time in life. Okay, because life is eternal, and you don't want to sacrifice you don't want to make such a good time of yourself that you're not helping people. So by helping everybody, if everybody's helping everybody, it's the same as we would be the same as we help ourselves. But God makes the pie bigger. Okay, we're gonna close with this. This is Mimo. So God makes the pie bigger when people help others. So if you kept it for yourself, you would have something. You give it to someone else, you get more. So he makes the pie bigger. So as a scientist who's invented the smartphone, has made video games, and never got a piece of the, I never got a piece of the pie. I still have student loans, right? If I had a piece of the pie, I just paid off my student loans a long time ago, right? But Apple, Google owes me $300 billion. Like MTV owes me $1 million. I can go down the list. Apple owes me more for my games, and Google banned my games. Google banned a game I was making with a Make-A-Wish kid. Google boot stomped a Make-A-Wish kid. Right. So by denying one of the top, maybe the top mind in all of human history as part of for Jesus, by denying the top mind in all of human history, I invent less things. Okay, you could have gave me the smallest piece of pie, pay off my student loans. I would have invented a lot more things. Even though I invented 5 multi-trillion-dollar companies, many multi-billion. I just talked about interstellar travel. Made multi-million-dollar companies. If I would have had just the smallest piece of pie, like Milton, you saw in Office Space, pass. He never got anything himself. If I would have had the smallest amount, I would have made the world a lot better place. I'd been like Dolly and helping people in Appalachia. I would have been helping the people in inner city. You get a little bit of appliances, you get yourself above your water, and they can help more people. It's all about helping people, right? That's what Christianity is about. But I never got that. But the religion of Christianity is the same as helping a research scientist out. Help the research scientists out. You might give them away a 30-year pie, right? Well, let's say you get the researcher 1/9 of the pie. So cut into pieces of eighths, but you cut it into 1/9. So overall, the whole people lose 1/9 of the pie. They're each one of those are losing like what? Something insignificant. Of the 1/8 of the pie going to 1/9. It's God, I'm doing pie problems. Yeah, Jim, you're real smart. You know how much. Okay, you have a pie that's cut into eighths. Now you cut into ninths. How much pie does each person lose for that 1/9? Well, that 1/9 has to divide in nines. That's 99. It's like you lose 1/100th of the pie, I guess, off your slice. I'm probably wrong, right? But by giving that guy a little bit more, the pie's bigger. So your little 1/8 slice, even though you lose 1/100th of the whole thing, it's like way bigger. There's a guy that played baseball, right? You remember that guy that played baseball? Yeah, that baseball player. He was totally cool. Not Joe DiMaggio. Yogi Bear. Hey, boo-boo. Real Yogi Bear. He says there's a Yogi Bear, and he said, how many pieces of pie do you want that cut into? He's like, well, better cut into 6 because I'm not hungry enough to eat 8 pieces of pizza, right? It's the same pizza. You just cut into different pieces. Yogi Bears, I'm better cut that into 6 pieces. I'm not hungry enough to eat 8. It's like no one goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Well, it makes sense. You know, when you're famous, you don't go to places that get too crowded. No one goes there anymore. I'm talking about famous people, it's too crowded. But if you think about what he says, no one goes there. It's too crowded. Everybody's going there. Well, what do you mean, right? The nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. You know, he's talking about inflation. but Dick was never worth a dime because, yeah, Yogi Berras was great. The best part about Yogi Berras, he doesn't mean to make them up as he went along. He just says them. I once said, I'm getting off talking. I once said on communications merit badge. We'll talk more about it. I should talk about it later. I said, we went to the rifle range and shot our hearts out. Yeah, it was having fun. It sounds like anyway. So bring it back. Yogi Bear. Yeah. God operates just like a scientist does. Like, if you give God, aka you help your fellow neighbor, he makes the pie bigger. So, another reason to die of selfishness and live for others. Now, people will say, if everybody's living for others, that's communism. No, it's not communism to live for others. Communism is forced on you. Giving of what you can afford is your own choice. Forced versus choice. There's the difference between capitalism is you choose what you want to do for a living. Communism, you're forced what to do for a living. I want to be a dancer. You're going to be a steel mill. I want to be working a steel mill. You're going to be a miner. I want to be working as a miner. We're going to see if you're Olympian. Cool. Well, you're not. You're not your steel mill. This communism sucks, dude. And they'll pay you a lot less. And then you don't. Then you tell you what you get for your goods. You don't get to choose what they'll shop sometimes. Oh God, can't stand slavery. Communism, Nazism. They're basically the same thing. Nazism is like a National Socialist Party, which is the same as communism. Nazism and communism have very big ties. You don't want to go. Better red than dead is a real thing. Okay, you gotta have your free speech. But we're gonna reel it back and I'll close this out. God makes the pie bigger better to give than to receive. So when you give, God's making the pie bigger. Okay. You might think you're giving 1, but God might make it 30. Much like you multiply loaves and fishes. People think better to give and receive actually means that feeling your heart. No, that's just you knowing how God feels. Okay? And it's good to get those tugs in the heart. Good to have a hero. Yeah, that guy knows it. Yes, he's telling me I should be good and loving. Frick yeah, let's go. Let's go. Got to help the world. Right? Samson was a superhero. Solomon was supposed to be a superhero. Solomon started out, I don't know how to govern these people. I can wish for anything I want, and you'll give it to me. Just let me be able to help them, right? Oh, you have wisdom then. You ask for wisdom. Now you can help them. He helps them all. But then he fell on foreign women because you just want to appease the ladies to get your thing and. But long story short, there's lots of superheroes in the Bible. There's a guy called Eleazar. He's underlooked. Everybody thinks about David versus Goliath. David versus the Palestine. Kill the thing, right? But Eleazar, it's like the Lost Shaders. You see me play Lost Shaders sometimes. I'll be like, let's go fight, guys, and I'll let's fight, and it's like, where's everybody at? Oh my God! It was supposed to be a 3v2. Hey, I hope you understand. It was supposed to be a 3v2. We were supposed to have 3 people. We're supposed to kill you guys, and it's just me. So can you just kindly let me? And 2 people will take me out, right? And this is how the game goes, right? In League of Legends, my friends, these League of Lost Shaders, they'll always run from battle to make sure I'm dead, right? Let's go battle. And I'm up there and look like, where you at, guys? Oh, and I get killed. They're like, you get 5. Okay. That bully in high school. All right, this bully in the high school. We got 5 nerds. We can take him. All we have to do is rush him and use our wimp hands and beat him up, and we'll take him out. He won't be able to. You can hit him with your desk or something. He won't be able to stop. He won't be able to take all 5 of us. All right. It's after school. And he's down there, and your guys like, we're gonna do this. And they're all like, yeah. And they're still like, no. And you're like, yeah. And they're like, and you think they're like, yeah. And you're like, ah. And you're like, and you go up to the guy, and you're like, and you look back. And your friends aren't to be seen, and it's like, you're going to get some swirlies, kid. Don't touch, right? And so the idea of the charge where everybody else falls back, the guy who charges normally is just going to get waxed. Because your whole army versus one guy, right? But there's this man named Eleazar. Imagine your baddest guy of all time of anime or something. He doesn't even know his guys are gone. He's like, all right, the whole army is here, God. They're charging at him like this is the whole army of these people. There's 1,000 of them. We got them with this guy, but I'm gonna pray to you, man. I'm gonna pray to you. We're gonna take these guys out and like just make me really good at the sword. Let me be able to help my men. Let me help my friends, and I'm gonna take these guys out with my friends, and we'll be able to save our village. And he looks up and he starts going like, and then after it's all done, he looks back and there's like no one around. Like everybody's dead. But none of the people that are on the ground are like this people is like, wait, I killed 1,000 people, but where's my allies at? And he walks back and everybody's like, dude, we all ran from battle. We're like, didn't you hear the commander? We're like, we're gonna book it. And he's like, I can't drop my sword. And my hands are cramped. Wait, you killed them all? Yeah, I can't let my sword go. It's like stuck in my hands. And like, wait, you just killed 1,000 people by yourself? I thought you were fighting with me. We weren't. We weren't fighting with you at all, dude. But I thought you were, and I prayed. And they're like, but we weren't fighting with you. Then it was a good prayer. Eleazar. You're one of the David's 3 commanders. Yeah, well, like someday I'll be able to drop the sword. My hand's just so cramped. Hey, everybody, look, dude, medical people and that stuff, go over there, give him some food and some olive oil and some drinks and stuff. We need to honor this guy, but right now his hands are so cramped. It's like, get his wounds and stuff. He has any. So he got cared for, and eventually he could let his sword down. Okay. There's a man in the Bible who killed 1,000 people by himself to save his village, thinking his allies were with him. There's lots of heroes in the Bible. And there should be lots of heroes walking around beside us. Okay? No one thinks a greedy person is a hero. No one thinks, hey, that banker who owns a lot of houses is awesome. I want to be the guy who's a villain. Now, I mean, some people do think that, otherwise they wouldn't be villains. But, what do they want? They want prostitution. That's not love. Love is like one person hanging out with you all the time, hanging on the couch and, making food and, raising the kids, giving them good values and stuff, Love, the stuff they can't see matters the most, right? You feel that hero. I want you guys to be heroes, man. We live in bad times. It might be the end times, Be a hero. Follow Jesus. Requirement for wisdom is the first requirement of wisdom is to follow God. First requirement of being a hero. Also following God. Now, don't think great of yourself. Think great of God. And serve everybody. You're not out to be like, yes, I want to be known as the White Knight. Well, yes, that would be most excellent to be the White Knight. Yes, that is what I want, right? I mean, you can pray for that. For God, I don't care. I mean, to be nice and help people in a way that's cool. That's cool. Well, obviously, don't take a sword and go, ah, I heard about a sword. That's crazy people in Dungeons and Dragons do that, right? What I'm saying is, read your Bible, man. It's all legit. It's history. No one's ever debunked it. The Old Testament has been verified by the Dead Sea Scrolls. That wasn't changed. So when they predict who will build the temple later, Cyrus will order the thing, and it does. It does. When Isaiah 54 or 53 or something, it predicts Jesus will be the suffering servant. That's in the Old Testament. Happened before Jesus did it, right? Jesus on the donkey is in the Old Testament. Jesus being born in Bethlehem, Old Testament. Jesus being rejected. It's all there, man. The prophecy is real because it hasn't changed. The Bible hasn't changed. Anyway, so be a Christian, man. Love's the way, man. We need some more heroes. The reality is stranger than fiction. And if you don't keep your mind, body, and spirit together, you might think, what's the purpose of strength whenever we do everything with technology? What's the purpose of intelligence if artificial intelligence can think for me? Hope you understand that stuff's important. Value your intelligence. Value your education. And value your prayer life. They all tie together, mind, body, and spirit. Like I said, Mimo says we should be praying. That's Christian meditation. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. Like my last video, I said there's nothing wrong with works. Live and you have faith and you have works. You don't say, well, my works demand that I go to heaven. Like Mr. Burns, like I gave you $1 billion, now I deserve heaven. No, you need Jesus. Because if you don't think you don't need Jesus, you're saying, well, I deserve to go to heaven and live on my own rules. I don't have to follow God. Well, then, like, what happens is if everybody in heaven doesn't have to follow God, there's no difference in now, right? We still have greed and hate and all that stuff. So you need Jesus, Get Jesus, die to self, live for others, and the world will be a better place. Not because you're helping people and love is abounding. God adds to it. It's like a compounding thing. I mean, we're all just crawling along since 2,000 years ago of God walking this earth telling us that love's the way. I'm sure those that get it will get it. God loves you. Ask Jesus for forgiveness and die to self, be satisfied, and, lift yourself to try and build your life up, but then, you get it, build those around you. You don't need money to build people around you. Just be nice to them. Old 90-year-old chain smoker on crutches, or nasty old coot on the porch yell at you all the time. Dog, get him. He's just screwing with you, man. Who knows? Be nice to him. People at the gym, you nothing. Okay. Hey, no one is. God bless you, man. Have awesome. You're someone. You try and return something. Hey, I need just $40 for this broken toaster at Walmart. Looks like this receipt's a little bit wet and it doesn't scan. Can't give you your $40 back. Hey, God bless, man. I'm not gonna be able to eat for a couple of days, but hope God blesses you. Yeah, it's about loving people when the world's being jerks to you. If you listen to Ozzy Osbourne's Iron Man, a lot of us want to try and be good and loving everybody, right? A lot of us want to try and be good and loving everybody. But then when the world becomes so bad, sometimes you have Michael Douglas falling down. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't let the world change you. And if the world has changed you, ask Jesus for forgiveness. Go back through your old art and stuff. Ask for God for guidance. Maybe you'll remember who you were. Maybe come back to who you were. Or maybe you'll become someone even better than you've ever been. That's my prayer for you guys. In Jesus' name, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, forgive us our debts, for debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For Jehovah the power, and the kingdom, and the glory forever. I believe we fold our hands in prayer, because we don't have the power, God does. I can't wait to do some more with Mimo. That's why I did some encore with myself and God, obviously, and you. Amen.